We've stepped into Cobh, into the old railway station, which is now Cobh Heritage Centre, and I'm here chatting with Jack Walsh. Jack, you're the manager here of the centre, and can you tell us a little bit about your own background and where you started off with all these transatlantic journeys, maybe in your own life?
My first memory would be when I was growing up as a little boy. My family had a pub in a place called the Stole in County Kerry, and my mother was the agent for the Cunard shipping line. So she sold tickets to any of the local young guys or young girls who were contemplating emigrating, especially to the US. And I often watched those guys sitting in the bar with their pints, filling in all the documentation, and possibly a week later those guys were gone off to New York, Boston, Chicago, wherever. In lots of cases they were probably never seen again. And that was in the early 1960s. But I suppose if you've gone back 100 years to the 1850s, 1860s, anybody contemplating emigrating to the US at that stage, they definitely didn't come back. And they had a tougher journey because, nowadays you have trains, cars, buses. In those days you had donkey and carts, and maybe rowing boats.
So how would a person have come down here to Cobh and got on the boat? What would their journey have been like?
Well, from the 1860s onwards, they could have caught the train in some place like Killarney and gone to Cork, then got the train from Cork to Cobh, and then directly onto the ships. But a lot of them, depending on when they arrived and when their ship was sailing, would have had to got lodging somewhere in Cobh, and the lodging houses were famous because you didn't know what you were going to find in there, right? And the Bannon teas, as we call them here, the lodging house ladies, had lots of little different ways of getting business and saving a few pound. For example,
I'm sure you must tell me about one of those.
Well, if, for example, you had booked for your bed and breakfast, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning before breakfast was being served, somebody was shouting outside the door, "Quickly everybody, the boat is here." Right? So everybody would leave the bed and breakfast. Been no breakfast served. The Bannon tea's already been paid for it. So little tricks like that. But the lodging houses in Cobh were famous at that time because people were coming from all over the country. A lot of them were young, they didn't know the way around. They were sort of rural people from the west of Ireland, for example. Coming into a large town would have been strange, but to a town they'd never been in, looking for somewhere to stay, they had to trust people, and they were very trusting. They didn't always leave with the money they arrived with. Let's put it that way.
And
Times were different.
And that was the start of their journey.
Yeah, and from here then, you get on a ship in the 1860s, 1870s, it might have been 2 or 3 weeks sailing across the Atlantic in all sorts of weather. So a lot of them were sort of fairly sick when they got to the other side.
Thanks very much, Jack, for filling us in on what it was like. Yeah. And we're going to have a look around the Heritage Centre now.
By all means.
And see the different parts there. And I know you have some stories about the families that came through. So we'll chat some more. Thanks very much.
No problem at all. I'm looking forward to showing you around.